Hare Krishna. Can you all hear me? Am I audible to you all?
Hare Krishna. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Maataji.
So, Hare Krishna. Welcome to all of you. We will start with the Mangala Charan. Yesterday I explained about the Mangala Charan and on which page it is. You can open your Bhagavad Gita if you have and chant. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Tada Mayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shrirupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvinam Tam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhambitam Sra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे शिल प्रभुपाद की जय. So Hare Krishna, welcome you all to another session of Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. So kindly a few guidelines like kindly keep yourself muted during the meetings and turn your video on so that I can see you all. And to start with, we will take a quick recap of what we did yesterday. I'm sure those who could not attend have updated themselves with the recording. So can somebody volunteer to tell what we discussed? um, Rugesh Misty Prabhuji, you are there?
Yes, Maataji.
Yeah. Can you update? Did you hear the recording?
Yes, I was going through the recording.
Yeah.
So,
Can you tell us that?
well, I will try. I'm not sure if I got everything rightly. But initially, we started with what are the types of pains, I can say miseries in the world around, and how in Bhagavad Gita, Lord has mentioned that you know one can come out of these miseries by chanting His name. And going ahead, we understood what is going on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, uh, where uh, you know, the everyone's the characteristics of all the warriors is been mentioned. Also, we understood the prefix, what exactly was the reason for this battle coming around. Uh, like Pandavas couldn't get even the 5 villages that they should have gotten to rule around after coming back, and that's where is the origin, and how and what Arjuna made choices from Lord and his army. Like he selected to be at the feet of Lord and tried to be on the side, tried to get Lord on his side and not the army. And this were the few points I think I remembered out of the conversation. I think you are on mute.
Okay. Yeah. So, Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your insight, and very nice to know that you were very attentive in the class yesterday. So, now anybody else? More points? Uh, we any who are the participants today? Let us see. Uh, anyone else? So actually, we had discussed about the mindset of the characters of Mahabharata, and especially Arjun. The mindset of Arjuna was discussed, and how disillusioned and derailed he was from his, you know, uh, goals. And he had just, the state of mind was such that he even failed to realize, what is right, what is wrong. He was totally confused. And in the end, we see that he puts down his Gandhi bow and he says, I just cannot fight. My physical condition doesn't permit me to fight. I don't know why I'm put into this situation. And now we are going to begin with chapter 2, contents of Gita summarized. Um, so basically, the second chapter is the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So it's a very important chapter, and it covers the journey of the soul from a contaminated state of mind to a pure blissful state of mind. So now we may ask, what is contaminated and what is Sthita Prajna? Contaminated state of mind is uh, that which is caused by material desire. Material desire means what? I think I told you that Lord is known as Rishikesha. Rishik means senses, and Isha means master of. So, master of all senses is Lord Sri Krishna. And he is the Purushottam, supreme enjoyer. All the senses which we see around us, whether they are ours or anybody else, he is the proprietor and he is the enjoyer. Purush Uttama. Purush means enjoyer, Uttama means topmost. We are just, we try to be enjoyers, but we are actually servants. Jivere Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. This is there in our Shastra, the definition of a Jiva's constitutional position in relation to God. So when we behave differently or in contrast to this constitutional position, just like if there is a fish, the natural constitutional position of fish is to be in water. But if a fish tries to fly, which is against its natural constitutional position, what will happen? It will face lots of problems because nature is made like that. The sun rises at a given time, the sun sets at a given time, water has its qualities. Um, I will just take a call with our coordinator. There seems to be some problem in the organizing. Can I put this on hold, the audio for a little while?
Yes, ma'am. Maataji, you're on mute.
Thank you. So we were doing that. What is this journey of a soul from a contaminated state of mind to a blissful, pure state of mind? So why are these material desires born? Material desire means the desire to enjoy, whereas our constitutional position is to serve. So when we behave in contrast, we face difficulties, we face misery. So the entire subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is to transform our mindset from the corrupted way of enjoying ourselves to a state of mind and willingness to serve the Lord. So how this is achieved and how this is so very deeply connected to our happiness, that is what we are going to know in this chapter 2. So it is going to be a fast track journey. So the as you know, the you can, if you have the Bhagavad Gita with you, you can see that there are 72 shlokas in chapter 2, and we will carefully analyze the breakup of these shlokas, what topics are discussed from which shloka to which shloka. Actually, I had a PPT. I don't know how to get to this because our coordinator is not here today. Mm, I don't know if you will be able to see the PPT. So, anyways, I will tell you in brief that chapter. This is chapter. As you saw, that Arjuna had four major, uh, arguments he gave for not fighting the battle. I will just repeat them for your reference. So 1.8 to 1.30, he had a lot of compassion for his relatives, his uncles, aunts, grandfathers. And he also discussed that how he is not going to enjoy 1.31 to 1.35, chapter number 1, we discussed that. So why we undertake, what is the motivation behind um, all these activities? So the impetus is that we want to enjoy, we want to be happy. We study, we do business, we do so many things. What is the ultimate thing that we want? We want happiness. And this happiness will be lost if his relatives are not there. And he also gives the argument that by killing his own relatives, his guru and his grandfather, he is going to incur sinful reaction. So then he also says destruction of family will take place, family traditions will be lost, and he's very indecisive. So this is his state of mind at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Now in chapter number 2, we see that the Lord discusses, these doubts, how he clears them. The, the breakup is in my PPT, but so from shloka number 1 to 10, we see that how the Lord is uh, chastising actually Arjuna. He's asking for more doubt, and the Lord is chastising him and telling him where he is wrong. The chapter 2 also discusses the nature of the soul. Just like a fish has a nature which cannot be changed, the fish is used to water. And similarly, actually, dharma, the definition of dharma as per our acharyas is that which cannot be changed. That is actual dharma. It is a constitutional position of a living being. For example, there is salt. So the quality of the salt is that whatever you mix it with, it will turn that into salty. That is the quality of the salt. Similarly, there is the quality of our soul also, which is its natural constitutional position, which cannot be changed. But when we fail to behave accordingly, then the whole chain of reaction starts. So to begin with, now we will start with the shlokas. So Sanjay Uvacha Tam Tatha Kripavistam Ashru Purna Kulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sanjay said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna spoke the following words. Please note that this is the second time Lord Krishna is speaking. From here, initially when he takes the chariot in the middle of the army, also Krishna very diplomatically speaks to Arjuna. Hey Pandu, behold the army of the Kurus. You know, because he knows what's going on in Arjuna's mind. So from here, Lord Krishna starts speaking. Shloka number 2, Lord speaks, Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Kutastva Kasmalam Idam Vishame Samupastitam Anarya Jushtam Avargyam Akirti Karamarjuna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. So the argument that Arjuna puts that he will not achieve the higher planets, Vargaloka, higher planets. Actually, there are 14, planetary systems in our existing material world. Um, we are in the middle. We are in the Bhuloka, that is in the middle. And below than Bhuloka are, the lower planetary system. People with a lower consciousness, they take rebirth in this lower planetary system. And people who do pious activities, they go to higher planetary system. That is the Swargaloka, Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, Pitraloka. They are all higher planetary systems. Higher planetary systems above uh, Bhu, Bhuva. So, so like that, there are 14. And one must try, because this entire process, the entire Vedic knowledge is to elevate us spiritually. As we get purified, we get better facilities of life. So Swarga and all the higher planetary systems are better facilities for life. But nevertheless, the miseries of life, that is Janam, Mrityu, Jara, and Vyadhi, are present in all these 14 planetary systems. So a jiva, because of his activity, is going up and down this ladder of 14 planetary systems. So here, as per Arjuna's argument, he will go to Naraka if he is going to the lower planetary systems, if he is going to kill his relatives. But here now, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, tells him, how have these impurities come upon you? You are an Aryan. Please see the word Anarya Jushtam Aswargyam. What is Aryan? So many times we hear Arya Purush, Arya Putra, So actually, as per the Shastra, there are 84 lakh species of life. Out of that, 4 lakh species are there for human beings. There are 4 lakh types of human beings as per our Shastra, based on their spiritual elevation. And the highest amongst this is Aryan. Why? Because they perfectly understand the importance of human life, its purpose. Because only in human life you have the intellect to dovetail your activities and get closer to your constitutional position of Jivere Swarupoe Krishnera Nityada. So as whatever rituals, whatever tradition, whatever festivals, whatever, karma kanda activities that we perform, whether it is astrology, vastu, or any other shastra, this is for the purpose of realizing this constitutional position and behave accordingly. So as you get purified, your understanding improves. And how this understanding improves, what kind of life we have to lead for that is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. So here Lord Krishna is telling him, you are an Aryan. You know the value of human life and you are behaving like this. Neither you are going to go to higher planetary system by not fighting this battle, and nor you will be famous. In fact, you will be infamous. And he puts forth the argument in front of Arjuna. So here there's a quote by Srila Prabhupada where he's quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the highest Purana that we have. Vedanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanam advaitam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdate. So God is realized in three phases. I think yesterday Rohini Maataji was asking me whether God is a person or power or I don't know. So here in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clearly explained that God is realized in three stages. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdate. This is the process. So earlier when you inquire about God, that is Athato Brahma Jignasa, you just realize that so much activity is happening upon around me. The sun is rising, the sun is setting, the clouds are coming. It's a systematic way in the nature. How is it happening? Who is the controller behind all this? That is the initial stage. When you realize God in an impersonal way. Oh, there is some power around me. What is it? Athato Brahma Jignasa. You are inquisitive to know. And the second stage is when you are able to realize that everything, is going on because of God who is seated in everybody's heart. Paramatmeti. There is Paramatma in everything around. That is the second stage of realization. And the highest stage of realization is when you know that Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna is the personal, is the supreme consciousness, and we have an eternal relationship with Him. Because a relationship can exist only between two persons. A relationship is never impersonal. For example, if there is a child and a mother, do you think a relationship will develop if the mother only sees her child on the Facebook or WhatsApp? No. Any relationship, whether it is the material world or the spiritual world, is formed because of service. This service is the linking chain between two individuals. There is an exchange of service between mother, father, child, between wife, husband, between brothers and sisters. And when they lovingly, serve each other, a strong bond is created. And that bond we have to create with the Supreme Lord Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who has been, unanimously, even in Srimad Bhagavatam, all the Rishi Munis of Nemi Sharanya unanimously agreed that Lord Sri Krishna is the Bhagavan, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now here Lord Krishna is telling him that you have forgotten the actual purpose of life and you are stuck in bodily relationship. And further, O son of Pritha, shloka number 3, do not yield to this degrading importance. It does not become you. Give up such petty weaknesses of heart and arise, O chastiser of enemies. So whenever we are disillusioned, we are in grief, we are demotivated, it is a contaminated state. And it doesn't take Lord Sri Krishna to understand this. And in shloka number 4, he tells, uh, Arjuna tells, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows in a battle men like Bhishma, Drona, who are worthy of my worship. So Arjun says, as per etiquette, we have there is a book of moral code in our Shastra known as Manusmriti. And in that, moral codes are there for the material world. These moral codes are needed in the material world to regulate our life. So these moral codes are applicable only on the material plane because earlier, everybody is leading a very animalistic life. So what is the common sphere of activities between animals and us? It is bhay, maithun, ahar, nidra. So these four sphere of activities are common between animals and all living beings. That is bhay, fear. Maithun is sex life, reproducing children. Ahar, eating. Nidra, sleeping. So eating, sleeping, fearing and mating is there even in the animal kingdom. What is it that makes human higher beings? So Srila Prabhupada explains that it is dharma, this regulated form of life which makes us higher beings. Because we can control our senses, we are not carried away by our instinct. That is what makes us higher living beings. And the entire Vedic culture is designed in such a way that we gradually, elevate from animalistic way of living to a regulated way of life, gradually dovetail our activities and come to a state of detachment from this material world. Even the Varna and Ashrama system that is designed is because of this, which will be further explained in the coming chapters. So Arjuna says it would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of lives of great souls who are my teachers, even though desiring worldly gain, they are superior. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. So he says that you should not even give an argument to your elders, and you are telling me to kill my elder. Is that correct? What example will it set? So now all these answers will be given by Lord Sri Krishna in this chapter. Again, Arjuna says, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. So why is Lord Krishna? Many people take it as, um, an excuse to kill others. But you cannot kill anybody and everybody just like that. There is a criteria. I had spoken to you about 6 types of aggressors who can be killed. And here was a party, and all those who support these kind of aggressors, they are bound to get punished by the laws of nature. Even if you say if you murder somebody without the police knowledge, maybe it will go, unobserved, but the natural forces, these demigods or Devi Devtas, 33 crores, 33 crores demigods are there. They are sakshis, they are watching over our activities. And sooner or later, maybe in this birth or next, we are bound to get punished, just like Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra, 50 births ago, he was a king. And in the king, he has praja. Praja means all the animals, all the plants, all the human population is under his protection. It is the duty of the king to protect them. And once an old couple, Brahman couple, comes to him with a pair of swans, white swans, and they say, we are now old and we want to go on a pilgrimage. So you please take care of these swans in our absence. If we come back alive, we will take them back. If we don't come back alive, then they are in safe hands. They trust the king and they hand over their pet. And what happens is in due course of time, these swans lay eggs. They lay eggs and the king Dhritarashtra and Gandhari both are tempted to taste egg. And what they do is they break the egg and they have it. And then once they want to taste the meat also. And like that, the swans give birth to 100. They lay 100 eggs. And 100 eggs are eaten away by the king and the queen because they relish the taste. And as a result, the nature has to punish them with the same pain that the swans have gone through, seeing their own siblings being killed. So, Dhritarashtra is again born as a king because of his pious activities, but he's born blind because he's blind to the pain of the swans and its babies. So, because he's so indifferent to the pain, he does not have an eyesight. He does not have. And he has to also go through the pain of experiencing the death of 100 children. That is why 100 Kauravas are born to Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. And they had to see their sons being killed one by one. It was preordained. Arjuna was just playing a part in Krishna's plan, which he could not see. Whatever happens in our life is because of God's plan. Not even a blade of grass moves around here without the Lord's sanction. So now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. Kripan. This is a key memory verse. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prishyami tvam dharma sammuda cheta यश्रेहसा निश्चिता ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तुहं शादिमां तं प्रपन्नम्. Shloka number 2.7. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. Kripan. The word is very significant. Who is Kripan? Who is miserly? A person who does not want to utilize his resources even for the right cause. He is miserly. And here, the human birth, which is a precious resource, our time, which is a precious resource, and which has to be utilized in elevating ourselves spiritually and performing our duties um, without any self interest. This is the process. And here, Arjuna is failing to do that. He's failing to perform his duty as a Kshatriya, as a king who has to establish Dharma in the society. All the four pillars of Dharma are broken, they are smashed by Duryodhana. Yesterday, I told you that austerity, truthfulness, compassion, and cleanliness, these are the four principal pillars of Dharma. Whether you are following a Muslim faith, a Christian faith, it doesn't matter. Wherever these principles are compromised, there is going to be war, pestilence, disease, all kinds of misery, all kinds of klesha. So we see that austerity, that is the first principle of Dharma, it is smashed by intoxication. Intoxication can be, alcohol, etc., smoking. Intoxication also can be because of pride, money, power. And the second principle, truthfulness is lost by gambling. When you gamble, you resort to lying, you resort to cheating, and this principle is lost. The third principle, cleanliness, is lost when we indulge in illicit sex life outside the permits of marriage. This cleanliness is lost in our conscious. The third pillar compromised by Duryodhana by derobing Draupadi. The fourth pillar or principle of Dharma is compassion or mercy. This is smashed when we kill others, especially meat eating. When we are ready to take the life of another animal. In fact, the word mamsha means ma amsha, which is a declaration by the animal which is killed, that just like you are eating a part of my body, ma amsha, I will one day eat a part of your body, and you have to agree to that. There is no escaping. Mamsa. So here, this Kripan, that is miserly weakness, this miserliness has come over Arjuna. He does not want to utilize his talent, his power, his resources for the plan of God. That is miserly. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth and sovereignty like to the demigods in heaven. Shloka number 8. So he's saying, I have lost my composure and I'm not able to drive away this grief. And grief, as Lord Krishna sees, is a sign of contamination. Shloka number 9. Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjun, the chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight. I will go and take sannyasa. And he fell silent. So here, then next shloka he says, O descendant of Dharma, at that time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So now here, from here on, the surrender of Arjuna begins. Earlier, he was relating to Lord Krishna as a friend. They were Sakha. And now on, he accepts him as a guru. He surrenders. He says, I don't have the intelligence or discretion to decide good or bad. I will not fight. I cannot fight. It's not that I don't want to fight. I just cannot. It is beyond my control. My mouth is drying up, shaky, I'm grief stricken, I have no motivation. And from here, he he surrenders to Lord Krishna and he accepts him as his guru. Now from shloka number 11, Sri Bhagavanu Vacha Asoshan Anovascha Swam Prajnavadam Sabhashase Gata Shunya Agata Shumcha Nanu Shochanti Pandita. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mounting for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for living nor for death. So this lamentation is because of our attachment. There are two reasons for lamentation. Um, if you see the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Jivan Mukta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati. So you have to come to a state of mind where you neither lament any loss nor you are hankering for something to come. So these two things are the cause of our lamentation. Either we are grief stricken because something we have lost in the past or now, or we are hankering for something. We want something and we are not getting it. These are the two major causes. And these two contaminations corrupt one's happiness. They put them into grief. But we are supposed to get out of it and come to Jivan Mukta Prasannatma. When our happiness is not, dependent on any external impetus. So here, shloka number 12, the Lord says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor those, all these kings, nor the future shall any one of us cease to be. So now the Lord explains to him the actual existence. We can only see our life. Maybe we don't even remember our life from childhood till now. But the Lord, that is why our consciousness is limited to just our body. Whereas the Supreme Consciousness, Lord Krishna, He knows everybody's life, previous and now. Just like Dhritarashtra has a life even 50 births ago. And today that seed of sin had fructified and he had to experience the reaction. So, like that, millions of births we have, we incur so many sins, even without knowledge, this material world is like that. You will go on incurring sin. Actually, in my earlier days, I had gone to ISKCON, and when Maataji told me that this material world, it's like a sea full of ropes, and you are inside that sea. The more you try to free yourself, the more you get entangled. And I was so horrified. And then I said, what's the solution? So she said, if you put the name of Krishna's name on this, one of these ropes, that rope is going to pull you out like a helicopter out of the sea. This is the way. And I was so glad I met her. So, so never there was a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So why like that? So Srila Prabhupada has explained to us that here in the material world, we are under the control of Maya Devi. How does Maya Devi control us? With the three modes of material nature, the three gunas, the Sattva gun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. These are the three gunas with which Mother Goddess Durga controls. She is acting on behalf of the Lord. She is the external energy of the Lord, and she works under his guidance and under his order. So these three modes of material nature, there are qualities peculiar to them. They create a certain effect, like the Sattva Guna gives you the effect of tranquility, cleanliness. All these will be discussed. Calmness, composure, um, good qualities, they are all there in Sattva Guna. And whatever decisions a person takes is because of this influence. Under the influence of the mood, he behaves in a certain way. People who are in Rajoguna, they are compassionate, they get angry fast, they're driving force to, they're driving to succeed materially. All these qualities are there in Rajogun. And Tamogun, it signifies ignorance and laziness. A person is demotivated, a person is always angry, they do sinful activities, they break all the principles. So these are peculiar qualities. So that is why I said, no, whatever we become is because of our association. Superficially, we may see that certain such person is tamogun, rajogun, you know, different types of people we meet, different exposures we have in our life. Basically, your association is all your senses when they are exposed to their respective sense objects. Like we have five primary senses: the eyes, nose, tongue, ears, and skin. These are the gross senses as per our Shastra. In the Sankhya philosophy, we'll learn about it in detail. So, what is the sense object for eyes? Something good to see. That is a sense object. For ears, usually it is something melodious or praise. We don't want to take criticism. We don't like it because the soul is like that. And the tongue has two functions. We want to taste and we want to speak. So what we speak, what we utter, what we eat, that becomes our association. It has an effect on our psyche. Just for example, if a person has one bottle of alcohol, within half an hour you will see that he starts behaving in a very erratic way. He doesn't even know what he's saying. That is the effect of food. That this is association. So the food we eat affects the way we think, what we hear, what we experience, in touch. So in one of our Bhakti Shastri class, Prashanta Maataji, my senior Maataji, she told us, that our mind, it is like a very powerful camera. It not just captures form and color, it also captures, touch, taste, smell, and hearing also. It records everything. It becomes conditioned. For example, if there is a gang of dacoits, if you ask them what is the highest achievement you can have, he said, I want to do a big dacoitry. I want to really loot something big. So that is because of his conditioning, his previous association. So perfections mean different things to different people. So everybody's perfection is different. So never was there a time when I did not exist. You are a soul. First of all, he smashes the idea of Arjuna here that you are a body. No, this this birth you have Arjuna's body. Previous births also we were Nar Narayan. There have been many births where I and you have been related. In that birth you had a different body. And in this birth you have a different body. Next birth you will have another body. So bodies keep changing. Why are you lamenting for the bodies of your superiors? And because you are a responsible person, you should strive for betterment of your superiors. By helping Duryodhana further in this battle, they are going to incur more sins. Better that they get a new body. Though they are following their dharma, even then they are getting entangled. You have to free them also. Now comes a strategic. This is the most important key memory verse here. देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्ति धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यते. So translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. This is shloka number 2.13, chapter number 2, a very key memory verse. So here the soul, the nature of the soul is explained. So here Lord Krishna tells that we are, even though in the same body, we change. We are changing from birth to death. As soon as a baby is born, the face, the body keeps changing. So what is everything changes even during this body. The body is changing. Even scientifically, all the cells of our body, they are renewed periodically. The old cells die, the new cells come, but the consciousness remains the same. So why are you lamenting? This process is natural. You are born, you grow, you stay for some time, and then you dwindle and you die, and your body keeps changing. Just like that, at the end of life also, the soul is eternal. Only the body changes, just like we wear new clothes. When the body gets old, we discard the old body and the consciousness is transferred to the new body. Then shloka number 14, this is also a key memory verse. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshana sukha dukkada agama nityam tam titikshasva bharata. So he says, O son of translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, ocean of Dharta, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So these natural changes, even happiness and distress, they are just like seasons. Just like we have so much heat in summer, we have so much cold in winter. Like that, there is grief when the situations are not according to our mindset. Now, if a dacoit is there or maybe a drunkard is there, he's not getting liquor. He gets into grief. He's very disillusioned. But is it a reason to lament? He's not getting liquor. Why? He's conditioned. His senses are conditioned to taking alcohol, and he's not getting alcohol, so his grief stricken. But is it in any way connected to the ultimate purpose of human life? Is he getting closer to God, or is he getting out of the miseries of life by taking alcohol? Similarly, we have so many desires. I think we get a car, I will be happy. So we are waiting, hankering for the car, hankering for a house, and we are not getting. And we are grief stricken. But is it in any way connected to our constitutional position with God? Are we getting any closer to that? So, what is the criteria for your grief? I did not understand, Arjuna. That is what Lord is telling him. O best among men, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Now, here we look at the example of Prahlad Maharaj. His own father, he threw him down from a mountain. He tried to poison him. He wanted to burn his own son by putting him in Holika's lap on a fire of fire. But Prahlad Maharaj, even when a drunken elephant is left at him, raging to trample him, is not at all shaken. He knows that all these miseries, my father, everything is arrangement of God. And maybe because of my past activities, I have to go through. It's not at all disturbed. This is a symptom of a sthita prajna, a person who is self-realized, who knows his constitutional position. Just like when we go to a theater and we see a horror film, and we are so, engrossed, and we feel the same fear, we are going through the same emotion that maybe the hero or heroine is going through. And as soon as we come out of the theater, you see there is no lion, there is no ghost, nothing is there, and it was all a movie and all over. So our experiences are rated good or bad based on the conditioning of our senses. The way our senses are conditioned previously, that becomes our good or bad. But actually, that is not good or bad. The ultimate good for anybody is to get out of the cycle of birth and death. So here now Lord says in shloka number 2.16, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that the non-existent material body, there is no endurance of eternal soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. So, nasato vidyate bhavo. So those who are in knowledge, they know that the body is temporary and the soul is eternal. And they are not, they have concluded after studying both the Sankhya philosophy, the Jnana Yoga section, you will understand the 24 elements with which the material world is made and how they progress, how these different things around us are formed. So those who know the truth, those who know the difference between body and spirit, they are not bewildered by such changes. The words existent and non-existent refer only to spirit and matter. That is the version of the seers of truth. Everything around us is spirit or matter. We see car, we see a big skyscraper. So how is the skyscraper formed? Did we make the cement, the iron? They were provided by God. It's just that we dig up that pile and we pile it on a place and that becomes a skyscraper. But we are not the creator of that skyscraper. We are just digging somewhere and piling it in a fancy way which we like. But all these elements, they existed in the material plane even thousands of years ago. It's just that the pattern or structures have changed, but iron has not changed, earth has not changed, chemicals have not changed, air has not changed, sunlight has not changed. Everything is the same. So the utilization has changed. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. And now from here, Lord is telling him about the existence of soul. He says how the soul is eternal and permanent and the body is temporary, and how the soul is spread over all our body, that is consciousness. Because of the soul, we experience everything around us. So many people say, is Bhagavad Gita applicable in today's time? So Arjuna had five senses. We have five senses. Arjuna was disillusioned. We get disillusioned. Arjuna is put into a nasty situation. We get put into a nasty situation. In what way Arjuna experiences pains, pleasures like us? We also experience pains and pleasures like Arjuna. So how are we different? It is just that the situations have changed. So the pains and pleasures of the body in the part or as a whole, this spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is embodiment of an individual soul. And the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as 1/10,000 part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. So here we are going to see from here on the qualities of the soul. So number one, it is eternal. It does not change. It transmigrates from one body to another. And the pains and pleasures that we feel are because this consciousness soul is spread over a body. And what is the size of the soul? It is 1/10,000 size of the tip of the hair. That is how minute it is. And it carries all our, our entire consciousness, what all we have done, what all we have not done, what we are thinking, what is our conditioning. At the time of death, the soul carries it all to another body. Just like fragrance is carried from a rose to all the surroundings, just like that fragrance, that quality of our body, whatever activities we have done due to our past association, are carried forward to another body. When so here, Srila Prabhupada gives us a quote. Where is it mentioned? Shvetaspatara Upanishad 5.9 confirms this. Balagra satabhagyasya satada kalpitasya bhago jiva savigneya sa chantatya kalpate. So here it is, reference is there, it is there in our Shastra. So here Srila Prabhupada explains what are the qualities of the soul. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. So why are we not able to see the soul? Because the realm in which we are, our state is in an impure state of mind. God, soul, the spiritual bodies, the spiritual realm is very different. And there is a qualification to enter the spiritual realm. That is why we are not able to perceive God or the soul here. As we get purified gradually, it happened in Narad Muni's life. I will not explain all the examples because it will take a lot of time. Then gradually, as we get purified, we will be able to, see all these spiritual elements. So this atomic soul is floating in five kinds of air. Prana, Apana, Vyana, Samana, Udana is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over a body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of five kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. So this entire human birth is to purify ourselves. We have 10 sanskaras from our birth. right from Garbhadan Sanskar to Daha Sanskar. When we die, all these sanskaras are so designed so that gradually we get purified of our material desire to enjoy and cultivate our constitutional position. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. But by accepting or not accepting the prowess of God does not mean that God doesn't exist. Like somebody is the prime minister of a country, and a set of people don't accept, oh, we don't consider him the prime minister. That doesn't change the position of the prime minister. If he wants, he can put you all in jail. So, accepting or not accepting does not change the nature around you. So, in fact, we are fooling ourselves by not accepting. Next sloka, the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. So this body, there is nobody, no matter how rich you are, how influential you are. There have been examples, they're very big film stars, very big celebrities. They have tried to, put forth the death, but they have not been able to do so. Everybody has to die. You name anybody who's living beyond 200 years, 100 years, not even that. Who wants to die? Nobody, but you die. 19. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, not he who thinks it slain in his knowledge. For the self slays nor is slain. So now the nature of the soul. The nature cannot be killed, it cannot be destroyed, it cannot be slain. Another quality of nature. The body comes to an end. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death. Another quality of the soul. At any time, he has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain, confirmed by Lord Himself. This is another quality of the soul. Next, so, O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So you are not killing anybody. This uncle, auntie, all yours. It is your responsibility to, see to it that they're spiritually. The human purpose, purpose of human life is, carried out. So even if you kill them, they will get another body. Not that they are going to be finished. It's just that this body will go. Then we come to shloka number 22, key memory verse, very important. Vasamchi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grinati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirani anyani samyati navani dehi. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As a person puts on new garment, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up old and useless ones. So the soul can never be cut into pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. So these are the qualities of the soul. So what does this mean? That the soul is spiritual. It is untouched by anything material. Weapon is material, fire is material, water is material, wind is material. All the panchabhutas here, they're all material. But the soul does not belong here. The existence of the soul is in the spiritual world. That Lord will explain. This individual soul is unbreakable, insoluble, and can neither be burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. There is no change. In fact, Sanatana Dharma means that which cannot be changed. So here we are talking about the constitutional nature of the soul. It cannot be changed. The soul will be the same throughout. When you are a baby, also that same soul is there. When you are an old man, also the same soul is there. Your body has changed, but the soul remains same. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptom of life will always be born and die forever, you will still have no reason to lament, O armed one. So here, how a Lord is consoling him by telling him about the nature of the soul. One who has taken birth in this is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what is the need, therefore, lamentation? So, see, we just like, we have actually five gross senses and three subtle senses. The five gross senses, as I told you, are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. And the subtle senses are mind, intelligence, and false ego. So this mind, intelligence, and false ego, they are like a chip. And all our likes, dislikes, our conditioning is recorded in that, our experiences. So these experiences form the basis of our decision making, whatever decisions we take, whatever choices we make. And these mind, intelligence, false ego, they are not destroyed at death. Only the gross senses are destroyed. The eyes, the nose, the tongue, the ears, and skin are destroyed. But mind, intelligence, and false ego remain intact. And they carry forward all your doing, all your nature to the next body. Based on your conditioning, next body is provided to you to fulfill your desire. For example, you have the conditioning to kill maybe animals or maybe smoke. So now the next body you get will have senses which can enjoy these activities because you have been conditioned in such a way. So now suppose you have desire to eat meat. Your next body will have teeth which can enjoy flesh, claws which can tear flesh. Or maybe if you enjoy water, swimming, you will get a body accordingly because Suridam Sarva Bhutana. Lord is seated in our heart and sees all our desires. And He makes arrangements. He orders the material nature to fulfill our desires. So He orders material nature, please give this person a body in which these desires can be fulfilled. And here comes a specific body in one of the 84 lakh species of life, which is given to that being to enjoy his desire. So, like that, our desires form the basis for our next body. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning. Why are they unmanifest? They are in mind, intelligence, false ego. You cannot see mind, intelligence, false ego. But when they get specific senses, you can see the gross body. And from the gross body, you can know what kind of desires this person must have had in the past. Just like Dhritarashtra, blind. What kind of desires he must have had. So this ability to see beyond the body is what one should cultivate. This is what Lord is telling Arjuna. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So just like suppose you see, even a needle, for example. You see a needle. Do you think the needle has come into being by chance? No. Somebody has made it. There is a second conclusion. So you are seeing beyond the needle. Okay, he's made it, but how did it begin? thought of first making the needle. And how did he think of making the needle? Because there was a need. The need arose from his condition. The need always arises from our past conditioning, our exposure, the exposure of our senses to the impetus around. So, like that, we keep getting bodies. Consider your specific duty as Kshatriya. You should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. So, here, Lord tells him that, there is no need to hesitate, and you must fight. That is your duty. So here now next shloka, Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come on sought, opening for them the doors of heavenly planets. So this system of Varnashrama is created by by God Himself to regulate our life. This is prescribed. The Varnashrama system is prescribed by God Himself. How do we understand what God wants from us? Through Varnashrama system. So Varnashrama system is so designed that we understand systematically. So Varnashrama uh, uh, is designed in such a way based on our quality, uh, according to which if we perform our duties, we are surely going to gradually get out of the cycle of birth and death. And here, as per Varna and Ashram, he is a Kshatriya and he is a Grasta. Varna is Kshatriya and Ashram he is a Grasta. And what are his duties according to that? He has to fight. A Kshatriya cannot beg. That is not his quality. So you must perform your duty. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose all your reputation as fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. So when you don't perform your duty, you get infamous. You are not looked upon, at least in the Vedic society. So what are you talking about infamy? Today you run away to the forest, who is going to respect you? The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. So a person has to have some dignity in the society. Because he's a grasta, he cannot run away to the forest. He has the responsibility of his family. He has the responsibility of the kingdom. He can't. If he runs away without doing the needful, nobody will respect him. So all his arguments that I will become infamous, I will incur sin, I will, you know, uh, uh, be considered, I will not get any respect. All these the Lord is smashing. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? That will be even worse. Now, the pain you are experiencing, later the whole life you will have to live with the infamy. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. So do your duty as per Varnashrama. If you don't perform your duty, that is a sin, not by performing your duty. Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. So from here, yeah, sure, Mataji, I'm sorry we were late today. I will try and cover as many shlokas today. Maybe we will need another session for chapter 2 because there are 72 shlokas. So no problem, Mataji, you please listen to the recording. So the Lord tells him that you just fight. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. Those who are on this path are resolute in their purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of Gurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branches. So now here, from here on, the the analytical study, the uh, Jnana Yoga section, Jnana fight is over. Now here he starts Karma Kand. From onward, the Karma fight starts, Karma Kand. What is Karma Kand? Karma Kand is the path of fruitive activity in the Vedas. So Jnana, that is the Sankhya or the Jnana Yoga, talks about the difference between matter and spirit. So we have spoken about the soul, what is matter, what is material body so far. Now he is trying to explain to Arjuna what is karma kand, what is the path of fruitive activity. So the fruitive activity, those who are resolute in purpose and their aim is one, O beloved child of Gurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many. So people who know the actual purpose of life, all their activities are dovetailed to, just get out of the cycle of birth and death. But those who are irresolute, that is, they want to do this also, they want to do that also, they have many desires, they take to the path of fruitive activity. So what are these fruitive activities? This is the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, where so many types of sacrifices are performed, wherein you pray to all kinds of Devi Devtas and you fulfill your desires gradually and come to satiation and a state of mind where all your desires are fulfilled and you are satiated, you are not disturbed anymore. So there are two ways to achieving tranquility. One is the pravritti mark and one is the nivritti mark. In the pravritti mark, the path of regulated sense gratification is prescribed in the Vedas. For those who cannot give up sense gratification, they are gradually allowed to perform sacrifices to the demigods and fulfill their material desires. So many yagyas, so many things are there, which you have to perform. But if you can take to the nivritti mark, that is, give up the sense gratification entirely, that is the best, but we cannot. So we have to go through the regulated way. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. So people who have still not developed sense control, they are very much attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas. The Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, it prescribes many sacrifices to the Devi Devtas, and by doing so, they can fulfill many of their desires. So people who are not able to get over their desire, okay, there is the recommended ways that you go through the regulated sense gratification, you perform yagyas and you fulfill your desire. But these people are small knowledge, they are small intelligence. So here, and this is very important shloka, shloka number 2.44. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulences, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So this is also very ironical that when you are too much involved in sense gratification, the desire to get closer to God also will not develop in you. The more your senses are exposed to sense gratification, the desire to serve Lord will not take place. In shloka number 2.45, the Vedas deal mainly with the subject matter of three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes, be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. So these Vedas, their range of the Vedic knowledge is only up to Shabda Brahman, the material sky. The Vedas and all the activities or Vedas are not required in the spiritual realm. The range of the Veda is only Shabda Brahman, is still the material sky. So the material sky is controlled by these three modes of material nature. The Trishul of the Durga denotes these three gunas, Rajogun, Tamogun and Sattvagun. So we are under the control of these three gunas when we are in the material world. So here, O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. These three modes, they they cultivate our likes and dislikes. So Arjuna is not liking to fight. You know why? Because he's been cultivated in Sattva Gun. Non-violence is a quality which is developed in Sattva Gun. That is why this weakness. But the Lord says that you have to get over even Sattva Gun. When you are performing your duty, you must just perform it as a service to God. Then you will not incur any sin. Just like there is an army general. If that army general kills somebody in his colony, he will be put into jail, right? Same activity. He takes a gun he has got from the army, he shoots his neighbor. He'll be put into jail. But the same general, if he takes that gun to, war front or battlefield, maybe India-Pakistan war, and he kills 100 soldiers, he will get a medal. So the activity is the same. But what is the difference? Earlier, he was undertaking that activity for himself, his personal agenda, his personal sense gratification. But when he undertakes that activity for a higher authority, he does not incur sin. So here, Lord Krishna is asking Arjuna to fight. Krishna is the higher authority. And if Arjuna is undertaking this killing of millions of soldiers, he does not incur sin. Whereas for his personal sense gratification, if Arjuna is fighting, he will incur sin. So all purposes served by a small well can be at once served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So here the Lord is recommending that instead of, you know, following all these traditions, rituals that you were talking about, performing Pitra, Tarpan, the 5 dates we have, all these will be taken care of. Just like, see, for example, here it is given the example of wells. In villages, there are different wells for different purposes. One well is just for animals, they wash animals in that. So nobody drinks water from that well. And one well, they dig up for washing clothes and utensils. Nobody drinks water. And some wells are only meant for drinking water. But if there is a river flowing, all the purposes of different wells are served. You can drink that water, the cleaner one top, you can fill from the higher part, and the animals can take bath in the lower part of the river. You can take bath in the middle part. Like that, you can design different ghats in the river itself. So these many branched people who pray to different Devi Devtas and perform yagyas, uh, they ultimately, they don't have to do so. Just by following what I have designed for you, you can just perform devotional service and you will get the results of all these yagyas. This is declared in Bhagavad Gita. It's not my personal thing. 2.47. You have right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the result of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your. What we do, we do not do, what we like to do, what we do not like to do, both are attachment. So here the Lord is telling him, don't be attached to not doing your duty also. Um, what is the time? 8:41. We have a little more time, and 8:50 we have to wind up the class. So I think we will end at this shloka. Maybe one more session we will need to complete chapter 2 there, since there are a lot of shlokas. So we will end at shloka number 2.47. So any questions or comments? I know there are a lot of topics in this lesson, but anything you would want to share or no?
Well, Mataji, I have some questions. I don't know how much legitimate are they up to, but just like the way we went ahead in the discussions, the questions came up popping my mind. So I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
it.
sure, Prabhuji. Every question has to be answered.
Okay. So like the one was regarding the nature of the soul when you mentioned soul is eternal and it's not affected by any material things, right? Like we cannot uh, basically we cannot hurt the soul, right? It's eternal by any of our activities. So how exactly our activities towards spirituality or on this path are going to affect or matter the soul, because it's all already there, right? If I understood that correctly.
Okay. So your question is how do we go about purifying our soul, if I'm right?
Yeah,
Towards
kind of
spiritual.
like in a way what we see is we do all the activities in order to liberate the soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but when the soul is already eternal, how are our physical activities or the tasks that we perform are going to matter to the soul?
Uh, if you go through the Jnana Yoga part, Prabhuji, in future, you will know the hierarchy of the soul and material senses. So the lowest in the graph is the sense object. Higher than that is the material senses. Higher than the senses is the mind. Higher than the mind is the intelligence. And over the intelligence is the soul. So what you see, your activities are on the lowest level, that is the sense object and the senses. The interaction between the sense object and the senses. And what is the impetus, from where is it it begins is from the soul. Whatever contamination is there in your soul is passed on to the intelligence, then it is passed on to the mind. The mind, the function is accepting, rejecting, making plans, and these plans are executed through your material senses, your eyes, ears, nose, all that. And the object or interaction is the sense object. So that is how we are connected. So instead of purifying from down, if you work at purifying from the top, that is the consciousness, then your activities will automatically get purified. I
Got it.
hope that answers,
Or the
Prabhuji.
opposite approach. Yes, I got it, because probably I
Yes,
was in the
yes.
other direction.
This will be explained in detail in the earlier chapters. I try to control my material desire, but people, I can't hear the chat. There's a question in the chat box. Uh, how do I go to the chat? Namaste Mataji, I'm leaving the system. Hare Krishna Mataji, no problem. Can you please switch on your video? I'm not able to read the chat. Uh, chat here. Ma'am, I have one doubt that I try to control my material desire, but the people I am with them encourage me that nothing happens. What shall I do in such a case? The best thing you can do is change your association, Mataji. The whole purpose of ISKCON is to make an association which is conducive to spiritual elevation. If you are like, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an example that if a swan goes to a meeting of crows, the crows will convince him that you are ugly. That is what happens. So if you are in association of people, because whenever you have to make choices, one must refer to three sources: Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. What the Shastra is saying is right. The Guru has to be aligned with what is written in the Shastra. And Sadhu, Sadhu means a person who benefits everybody, especially spiritually. He's a sadhu. He is envious of no one and he works selflessly for betterment of everybody's spiritual elevation, not material elevation. These are all for our spiritual progress. So if there are people around you, if you really, now Satsang, what is the importance of Satsang? Association of saintly people, Satsang. So when you change your association, your likes, dislikes, your parameters of good and bad will change. If you are going to go among dacoits, they will convince you that dacoitry is the best profession. But is it correct? You go in association of alcoholics, they will say, you don't drink. You're so old-fashioned. You are an outcast. Okay. But is it correct? So consult Guru Sadhu Shastra. If you really want to progress spiritually, you will have to change your association. I hope that answers your question, Maataji. Take association of people who are on this path and who are into the right activities. I hope Mataji's got. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. Any more questions? Are there any more questions in the chat box? No, none so far. So, I hope that answers we have completed till shloka number 47. We will continue tomorrow. So till then, Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Ananta koti vaishnav vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.